Hello everyone. Today I'm going to explain a survival movie, The Last Man. The movie starts somewhere in a dark lab where a person has been kept in a cryo chamber. Upon examining the monitoring apparatus powering the machine, it becomes apparent that the man has been in a state of slumber for over 17 years. Suddenly, an alarm begins blaring within the room, prompting the cryo chamber to open. The man, who had been resting for nearly 2 decades, awakens and slowly looks around the area, which appears to be some kind of bunker. Shortly after, the unnamed man removes his oxygen mask and embarks on a search for sustenance and other necessities. Abruptly, the monitor alerts him to the imminent rise of perilous pressure levels within the bunker, necessitating his swift evacuation. In the subsequent scene, the man dons an exceptionally protective suit, equips himself with weaponry, and gradually departs the bunker to ensure his safety. He wears a helmet enabling him to breathe while outside. He ascends the bunker and is confronted with a chilling sight that sends shudders down his spine. The once vibrant and lush world has been reduced to desolation due to a nuclear attack. Everything in the vicinity, from structures to landmarks and even the wildlife, has been obliterated. There is a complete absence of life, and to exacerbate the situation, torrential radioactive rain falls. This rain contains lethal elements that swiftly eliminate any living organism. The atmosphere is laden with gloom, causing the man to second-guess his decision to emerge from the cryo chamber. Nonetheless, a glimmer of hope remains that someone or something exists. As the man navigates the area, he receives a message on his monitor instructing him to proceed to a designated meeting point situated roughly 10 kilometers away. Traveling through this wasteland will demand hours due to the challenging conditions. Despite this, the man deems the risk worthwhile, unwilling to endure existence alone in this dilapidated and eerie world. Along the journey, newspapers are strewn across the road bearing headlines of warfare. This serves as evidence that the world's current state is the consequence of a nuclear strike triggered by a war. As the man progresses further, he encounters numerous abandoned cars that likely have remained in place for years. Due to the intense radiation, their paint has nearly faded away, giving the whole scene a monochromatic appearance akin to a black and white film. The atmosphere exudes a sense of melancholy and serenity. Nevertheless, the man, driven by hope, persists in his journey, clutching his firearm. After some time, he arrives at a demolished building resembling a former government office. Swiftly, he enters, hoping to discover something of use. However, he is met with disappointment as the only item he finds is an unconnected telephone. The state of the place suggests that its occupants departed or perished long ago. In the ensuing scene, he exits the building and continues onward. Unfortunately, when he attempts to rely on his monitor for navigation, it displays no signal. Consequently, he must proceed without any guidance. At this juncture, his survival becomes more important than his own life. His primary yearning is for human interaction. 17 lengthy years within the cryo chamber have undoubtedly left their mark on him. Lost in thought, he advances gradually. Suddenly, his monitor emits a beep, indicating that the environment is safe, and he can breathe the air without worry. This news fills the man with immense joy, prompting him to remove his helmet. He relishes the sensation of rain falling upon him, an experience he has been deprived of for an extended period. Each moment is savored, recognizing that it might be his last. Deprived of sustenance and proper water resources, reaching the assigned rendezvous point might be an insurmountable challenge for the man. However, his monitor beeps once more, revealing that a fellow team member is nearby, merely 205 meters away. Filled with excitement, he swiftly gathers his belongings and hastens to the location. Once again, hope is rekindled within him as he envisions the prospect of finally encountering someone to share his grief and joy. Unfortunately, upon arriving at the designated location, the man discovers solely a deteriorated helmet that once belonged to another person. The helmet's poor condition strongly implies that its owner had passed away long ago. Adjacent to it lies a radio, which had been transmitting signals to the man. Overwhelmed by sorrow, the man grieves for a period before moving the helmet to a nearby spot, where he grants its owner a proper burial. In the midst of grim and heart-wrenching circumstances, the man clings to his remaining humanity. Moreover, he kneels down and offers a prayer, yearning for peace for the departed. Following this somber moment, he resumes his journey. Hours later, he reaches a different section of the town and enters a ruined house. Inside, he discovers photographs depicting a family, his own. The pictures reveal his loving wife and their dog, who have both passed away years ago. As he gazes at the images, he succumbs to despair and sheds tears. Undeterred, he presses on through the devastated city, which, when viewed from above, resembles a scene straight out of an apocalypse. The entire landscape is devoid of color due to the pervasive radiation. The man encounters posters detailing themes of war and violence plastered on walls. He contemplates them briefly before displaying a sense of disdain. Amidst heavy rain, he consumes dog food, possibly his last meal if he fails to find someone. Despite the circumstances, he attempts to maintain some semblance of routine by grooming himself, using a makeshift razor crafted from a broken glass. Yet, in an unfortunate turn, the monitor he relied on for directions loses power as its battery dies, extinguishing his only beacon of hope. Overwhelmed by despair, he cries as though having lost a cherished loved one. In the subsequent scene, the man ascends the tallest building in the city, prepared to execute his final plan. With no guiding presence to help him navigate the ruined landscape, he resorts to signaling for aid by firing a flare gun into the sky. Initially met with silence, he contemplates leaving. However, a response comes in the form of another flare being launched, indicating the presence of someone else who has also been traversing the ravaged city. Filled with excitement, the man hastens towards the direction of the flare source, coinciding with the cessation of the rain. Along the way, he spots a helmet atop a car. While he desires to approach the individual, caution prevails, and he covertly observes with binoculars from a concealed vantage point. Noticing no immediate threat, he retrieves his rifle and advances, prepared to confront whatever awaits him. As he takes up a defensive position near a car, a sudden gunshot reverberates from an alternate direction. Startled, he turns to discover a woman, similarly clad in protective gear, ready to fire. The two, gripped by mutual suspicion, engage in a tense standoff. After a brief while, they come to a tacit understanding that they might be the last survivors in this desolate world. Silently, they lower their weapons, a shared recognition transcending words. The movie concludes as the two strangers gaze at each other, fostering hope for a fresh start in a world devoid of anyone else.